What if I told you that the desire to be chosen has been passed down to women for thousands of years? That the idea of competing for a man's approval isn't just something we pick up from social media. It's deeply ingrained in us. So deeply, in fact, that many of us don't even realize we are playing a game we never even agreed to. And the truth is, this game is rigged, and no matter how hard you play, you never really win. For thousands of years, women have been told that their worth is determined by their ability to be chosen by a man, by a family, by society. We're taught that being desirable was more important than being whole, that being agreeable was more valuable than being honest, and that seeking male validation was the ultimate prize. But what if I told you that the prize was never meant to serve us? That this entire system was designed to make us compete for something we never actually needed to begin with. Today, we are talking about the pick-me mindset, not just as a modern social media trend, but as the result of centuries of conditioning. This isn't just about women who throw other women under the bus for male attention. This is about a system that has shaped the way we see ourselves, each other, and our place in the world. And most importantly, this is about breaking free. And here's where the problem begins. For thousands of years, men have held control over almost every aspect of society, from politics to property, from religion to resources. Power was concentrated in male hands. Women's survival depended on their ability to secure the approval and protection of men. In other words, a woman's survival depended on being chosen. Marriage wasn't just a partnership, it was a transaction. Women had to be desirable enough to be chosen because for many, their financial security, safety, and social standings depended on it. The ideal woman was one who knew how to be pleasing, not too loud, not too opinionated, not too independent. She was rewarded for her obedience and punished for her defiance. The message was clear. To be valued, you must be chosen. To be chosen, you must outshine other women. And if you are not chosen, you are nothing. Perhaps one of the most tragic consequences of this pick-me mindset was the loss of the sisterhood. You see, historically, women thrived in community, supporting and uplifting each other, but patriarchy told us to compete instead. It taught us that another woman's gain is our loss. So we see women judging single mothers instead of recognizing the strength it takes to raise a child alone, criticizing women for making money in unconventional ways, policing each other's femininity while men remain unchallenged in their behaviors. Women keep fighting each other, while the real issue, the system that created this dynamic, goes unchecked. The sisterhood was sacrificed for survival. Instead of standing together, women were forced to compete. Because in a system where only a few could be picked to have stability, the illusion was created that women were enemies and not allies. This didn't just happen in ancient times. The programming continues today, just in different ways. The methods have changed, but the message has not. Social media and entertainment reinforce the idea that a woman's highest goal is to still be desired. You've got the archetype of the cool girl, the woman who drinks beer, watches sports, and she isn't like those other girls because other girls are the enemy, right? And then you have the low maintenance woman, the woman who takes pride in needing less, asking for less, and demanding nothing, because being easy to deal with makes her more appealing to men. And then we have the women who call others too high maintenance or too independent to appear more attractive to men who resent women's autonomy. And then we have those who feel like women should be changing how we speak, dress, or behave, not for ourselves, but to be more appealing under the male gaze. And here's the kicker. Many women who play into this don't even realize they're doing it. We've been conditioned to believe that this is just how things are. Being a pick-me doesn't actually protect women. It exhausts them. The truth is, no matter how much you shape yourself to be the ideal woman, it's never enough. Approval is conditional and ever-changing. What's desirable today will be outdated tomorrow. And women sacrifice their wants, their needs, and identities trying to be what men want, only to find themselves in relationships where they are not loved for who they truly are. Many women wake up one day and realize they don't even know who they are outside of who they're told to be. And the most heartbreaking realization, even when they are chosen, they often don't feel truly loved, because love built on performance is not love, it's compliance. As women are breaking free from traditional roles, we see an interesting phenomenon emerge: the rise of performative femininity in social media. Women posting curated content of themselves, cooking elaborate meals, preparing their husband's plates, or folding laundry in a way that highlights traditional roles. Some of these videos are authentic expressions of love and care, but many are performative, done not for themselves, but for the male gaze and social approval. These videos are often accompanied by messaging like, "This is what a real woman does," or "This is why I get chosen and you don't." Or maybe, "Men don't want a woman who acts like a man." This content isn't just about sharing personal values. It's being used as a weapon against other women. It's part of a larger cultural shift where some women feel the need to prove their worth by doubling down on traditional femininity, often at the expense of women who have chosen a different path. How did we even get here? Women have fought for the right to exist beyond the domestic sphere. Women are now CEOs, scientists, artists, and leaders. Many no longer feel the need to be defined by how well they cater to the male preference. This has created resistance from women who find safety in traditional roles they were taught to uphold. And here is where the pick-me mindset thrives. Pick-me women often act as enforcers of traditional roles, calling out non-traditional women as undesirable or unworthy. They shame women who don't cook, don't serve, don't prioritize being soft or submissive. They position themselves as the ideal woman, not realizing that this ideal is conditional, and this is the part that no one tells them. The pick-me support is conditional. You see, the men who praise pick-me women for their service and submission do so as long as it benefits them. The moment a pick-me stops performing, stops being agreeable, stops prioritizing male comfort, and stops sacrificing herself, she no longer is valuable in their eyes. The same men who praise these women for upholding traditional roles will discard them if they ever step out of line. Many pick-me women learn this lesson the hard way. Once the performance ends, so does the approval. And this realization is painful. Many pick-me women wake up one day and see that they've alienated themselves from other women, only to be abandoned by the very men they catered to. And this is the trap of the pick-me mindset. It promises security, but only delivers temporary approval at the cost of self-worth. With social media, the competition has really evolved. Women now broadcast their femininity in these curated aesthetic ways, posting their videos of themselves cooking and cleaning and serving their husbands and boyfriends. And yes, some of it is genuine, but a lot of it is performative. And the underlying message? I am what men want. I am a prize. Choose me. And here's where things get messy. Women who don't follow these traditional roles are publicly shamed. They're called masculine or too independent or unworthy. And it's a shame that women are the very ones doing the shaming. This isn't about personal preference anymore. It's about social hierarchy. I feel it's very important that these women understand that the very men they're catering to will abandon them the moment they stop performing. Their support is conditional. And as soon as a pick-me woman stops accommodating, she is no longer valuable to them. So, how do we step out of this programming? How do we unlearn something that's been drilled into us for generations? How do we break the cycle? The first step is awareness. When you understand that this behavior was programmed into us, you stop blaming yourself. You stop blaming other women, and you start seeing the bigger picture. Number one, we want to recognize the programming. Ask yourself, am I doing this because I genuinely want to, or because I think it will make me more desirable? Number two, stop performing. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. True love and respect should come without conditions. Number three, rebuild the sisterhood. Instead of tearing each other down, support women who make different choices than you. Number four, redefine success. Your value is not in being picked. Your value is in choosing yourself. When we step out of competition and into self-trust and self-worth, we stop chasing validation and start living authentically. We need to detach from external validation. The approval you seek will never be enough if you don't approve of yourself first. Stop seeking permission to exist in your own authenticity. For so long, we've been told that our highest achievement is to be chosen. But I want you to ask yourself this. When you look in the mirror, do you like the person you see? Not the version of you that's trying to be picked, not the version that's trying to be perfect, but the real you. Because at the end of the day, that is the only person you need to impress. That is the only person you owe anything to. You do not need to be chosen to be worthy. You are already whole. The only question that remains is, will you choose yourself? And this is where the divine feminine comes in. You see, the divine feminine is not about submission or dominance. It's about balance, intuition, and a deep self-awareness. She does not beg to be chosen because she already knows her worth. She does not tear down other women because she understands that we all rise together. She does not fear independence because she knows freedom is her birthright. The divine feminine seeks deeper connection, not through competition, but through authenticity. You don't need to be chosen to be worthy. You don't need to prove your femininity, your desirability, or your value to anyone. Because the most powerful thing you can do is to choose yourself. And when you do, you'll realize you were never in competition to begin with. If you've ever found yourself over-explaining or over-apologizing or changing who you are just to be accepted, you are not alone. Many of us have been conditioned to believe our worth is tied to someone else's approval, but the belief was never the truth. The truth is, you are enough just as you are. I was once a woman who had spent years molding myself into what I thought was the perfect woman, always accommodating, always agreeable. But when I finally started setting boundaries and prioritizing myself, the approval I had worked so hard for was lost. And yes, it crushed me. But I realized that I'd been seeking love and approval in the wrong place. True love, whether it's from others or myself, does not come with conditions. Today, I am making a call to the sisterhood and unity. Just imagine what could happen if women stopped seeing each other as competition, if we embraced our differences and uplifted one another and stopped measuring ourselves by standards we did not create. That is true power. You were never meant to shrink yourself. You were never meant to prove your worth. You were always meant to be free. So where does that leave us? For so long, we were told that our worth was something we had to prove through our beauty, our submission, our ability to be chosen. We were conditioned to compete with one another, to fit into roles that were never designed with our full humanity in mind. And for what? Conditional approval that disappears the moment we stop performing? Here's the truth. You don't have to fight for a seat at a table that was never built for you. You can build your own, stand in your own truth, and create a life where your value isn't determined by how well you meet someone else's standard. And imagine if we all did that together. If we stopped measuring ourselves against impossible expectations, stopped tearing each other down just to get a little closer to approval that was never unconditional to begin with. Imagine a world where women embraced their power, their differences, and their divine feminine energy, not as something to be controlled, but as something to be honored. That's what real change looks like. That's what real connection looks like. Sisterhood over competition. Self-respect over performance. Love over fear. So if you've ever felt like you've had to be picked to matter, hear me now. You were already chosen the moment you existed. Your value was never up for debate. Let's start acting like it. My name is Felicia, and this space is for those of us who are ready to unlearn, to heal, and to reclaim our self-worth on our own terms. If this message spoke to you, let's keep this conversation going, because together we create the change that we want to see.